Thank you so much for coming back to watch Mama Junior. If this is your first visit, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. You are in for a treat today because this is a video response. And a video response is when one of you send me a question through advice@mamajunior.com and you ask me for my opinion on a matter that you're thinking about that has to do with relationships. So this particular video is my response to an email that I've received. If you go to my website, mamajunior.com, you can look around and see some of the things that I've got going on, see how I can help you with your relationships, and you'll also see the new book that I'm putting out in April. It's called I'm Not Ready, and not is spelled K-N-O-T. It's a little play on words that I've done because it's kind of talking about marriage. Well, it's completely talking about marriage. And so I want you to go on my website and look around and kind of see what that book is going to be about, because you are not going to want to miss out on that. And you definitely want to keep up with me on Instagram or Facebook so that you know the moment it is available for sale through Amazon. So mamajunior.com will give you all of that information, and you can keep up with me through different platforms, okay? So today's video is, again, a response from an email that I received, and I wanted to always make sure to read the question just as it was written so that you will know why I say what I say and whatever my responses are. So this one says, growing up, my mother was married to a very controlling man. She was submissive, and I vowed not to be that way. In turn, I equated being submissive to being weak. How do I break this thought pattern? Okay, so first of all, thank you to my viewer who emailed me. And again, if you have any questions that you want my opinion on, advice@mamajunior.com. But I like this question the way it was worded, because it's not worded as if I don't want to be submissive, I'm not going to be submissive, why do I need to be submissive? The question makes me feel like you're lending yourself to wanting to be submissive or trying to be open to being submissive, but because you have this idea that it means you have to be controlled or weak in some way, you don't know how to get your head around it, or adopt that idea that it's okay to be submissive. And so I like that because you're open to it. And I would only imagine that you're open to it because at some point you were told, or it was shared with you, that that's what we are supposed to do as Christians, and that's what the Lord wants of us, to be submissive wives or women, okay? So I too, for a long time, felt like being submissive was just not an option, okay? I didn't grow up with someone telling me to be submissive, or that you need to be submissive, or that was a requirement. I kind of had to feel through and figure out that word on my own, and I interpreted that word to be what I expected it to be. But I will tell you, for me, in my opinion, in my understanding, being submissive is not a bad word. It is not a synonym for being weak. My understanding of being submissive and how I've read it in the different homework and research I've done is basically showing respect. So if you think about being submissive in a way, a team, you and your spouse are a team. You've heard that before, right? So think about it like the game of football. And my boyfriend will love this because I've been paying attention over the last few years whenever football season is going. So I'm going to kind of give you this example as it relates to football. So you have the coach and the quarterback and the other players, right? And each of those are extremely important, okay? And I will say that the coach, very loosely speaking, would be who God is in your relationship, okay? They create everything, and they've set the tone, and they set the standards of how they want things to go, okay? And so I will say that the quarterback would be the equivalent to being the husband. He receives this information, and his intention is to do what the coach has asked him to do, right? But when he gets out there on the field, the real world, when he gets on the field, he can't always execute the coach's plan exactly as it was given to him because of so many other things, so many other factors, so many other people and situations that come at him. So the quarterback is going to do everything that he can to keep in mind what the coach has asked and guided and directed him to do based on the other things that are coming at him. So I think of the other players as the wife, right? The linebackers, the tight end, that's the extent of my knowledge with the other players. But they are extremely important because if they are not in position, the quarterback is going to fail. The quarterback is going to get beat up, knocked down, broken bones. It's going to be bad for that quarterback if all those other players are not in position to protect him so that quarterback can throw the ball, right? So I think about marriage in that way. It's a team effort, and everybody's position is extremely important. So if you are being submissive, you are respecting the fact that your husband has a job to do, has a responsibility that the Lord has given him to be the head of the household, to be the leader, and to protect the family. If you are submissive, you respect that, okay? Given the fact that everything is not going to go by the book, your husband is going to have some issues with executing the plan he is supposed to carry out. But you cover, protect, help to implement whatever those plans are. So if it's a matter of what type of job he will have, or where you all will live, or some decisions that you need to make with the children or the finances or whatever, he's gonna let you know, hey, I'm looking at starting this business, I'm looking at sending the kids to this type of school. I really think that we would do better as a family if we lived in this area or that state or whatever. He doesn't just come home, lay it down, and then everybody has to scramble to get it done. He talks to you, he consults you, he confides in you, he trusts you with giving you these ideas and you saying, yep, I like that, that sounds great. Or you give him your feedback like, well, did you take into consideration, that this is something that's going on over there, and it might not be so easy to transition into that. You bounce those ideas off of one another. You respectfully have a conversation and a dialogue about the decisions that he, as the quarterback, is wanting to make, and you decide together what's best for your family. Now, you and your husband have to say, when, say for example, his idea is not the best idea, he has to be strong enough to accept the fact that your ideas are going to be better sometimes. And it's not a competition. It's not an arm wrestle or tug of war, do it my way versus doing it your way. It's a team. It's a partnership. It's a collaboration to get the win. It's so that we can win. When that quarterback throws the ball and a touchdown is made, it's not the quarterback's team. It's everybody's team. The whole team wins with every person doing their part. So please don't think of being submissive as being controlled, being weak, relinquishing your voice where you don't have a say, because that's not how I interpret submissiveness to be. I interpret submissiveness to be respectful. If the children get a decision from dad that they can't have dessert tonight because their rooms weren't clean, submissiveness says, I'm not gonna go behind his back and give them a dessert. I'm gonna respect the fact that he put his foot down about the children not getting dessert because their rooms weren't clean, and vice versa. If you were to make that decision, he being submissive unto you is not gonna go behind your back and then give the children dessert. You know, it's a respect thing, in my opinion. I always make the disclaimer when I give advice that I am not a theologian. I did not go to school for this. You know, this is my advice. This is my opinion, because I know there are people who did study this, and they will tell you the 10 years of education that they have says that this particular topic should be thought of this way. And that's fine. That's great. And if you can find somebody who has studied it in depth to that degree, I would definitely respect their opinion on whatever the matter is. But this is just my advice. And in my opinion and in my advice, submissiveness has nothing to do with being weak. I would think that it would be very important to speak to whomever you do decide to be in a relationship with, and make sure that you're on the same page with that, because you do have people, and you do have men specifically, who think about a submissive woman as somebody who's not going to question him. He thinks about that woman as somebody who's going to let him get away with murder, and she's going to smile and nod and let it happen. Ain't too many of those around. So that tends to make the wrong guy smile when he hears that he has a submissive woman, because in his mind he thinks no questions asked, and that's just not what it is. And so you do want to talk to your partner about it. You do want to get his understanding of what he thinks submissiveness looks like, and then you kind of you know, add your 2 cents to it. Kind of make sure that you're on the same page with that, because some people don't have any thoughts about what submissiveness is. They don't consider it. They don't think about it. And then some people have some very strong opinions about what it is and what it should look like in your relationship. So make sure that you're talking to your partner about it and how you feel about it. I remember when I was in college, it was a big topic with a guy I was dating, because he would always say, I lead the relationship. As the man, I will lead the relationship. And I was completely offended by that. I was, what? No. And at that time, 21 years old, you can't tell me you gonna lead me. I need to be submissive and all these things, because it was equated to control in my book. Now, this particular guy, I will stand by to this day, 20 years later, and tell you he was definitely controlling. And I had confirmation of that multiple times throughout the years. But nevertheless, he struggled to get me to understand and get on board with him saying those things, even though that particular train of thought I'm definitely more on board with these days, because I have a better understanding of what it actually means versus the way it felt when this person was trying to give that to me. So I hope that has given you some clarity and has allowed your shoulders to drop when it comes to the thought of being submissive. Think of it as your willingness to show the utmost respect to your husband, because that's what God wants you to do. That's the type of woman he wants you to be to your husband. The opposite would be to be that combative person. He can't say anything. He can't do anything without you challenging it and telling him he's wrong and getting attitude and taking offense that he has made some type of decision. You don't want to be the woman that gives him a hard time and you're constantly nagging him, constantly fussing with him, constantly telling him that he can't do anything right. You want to be supportive. You want to be agreeable when you can, and you want to make life easier because he has you as his wife on his team. Okay, so hopefully that helps, and I want to know what you think. If there's some clarity that you can give to this particular viewer who has written this question, I absolutely welcome that, and hope that anything that you add will definitely make things easier for her to realize that submissiveness is not a bad word. If you have a question, email me at advice@mamajunior, and I look forward to your comments. Thank you for watching. Bye.